Okay, so hi everybody, thanks for joining us. We have our guest today on EMACC Connections is Alyse Liebowitz from Three Chicks That Click. And so in talking through all of this craziness, in the very beginning, Alyse had this, she was the first one I saw that had this fabulous background in the back of her. And I was like, what are you doing? And she said, you can do this. And she is such a good photographer. She takes these amazing photos all over the world. So you've been in all these great places. And then Chris took his personal collection and added up. So he's in St. John's with us today. But so that triggered a thought for me, because you were able to, you know, you're pretty much usually shoot in studios, I think is how you advertise yourself. And when I first met you, and you've had to do a whole revamping and remarketing through the pandemic. So I thought your creativity and ideas would be great for people to hear about. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your business, how long you've been in business, and then how you first came up with your creative ideas.
Well, thank you for everything. And I've been in business for about 12 or 13 years now on my own. And I do mostly business portraits and events, corporate events. I guess I'm more known as a studio photographer, but I've been shooting outside for a long time. That tends to be more, actresses, actors, models, people that just want portraits in it, that don't need a studio. They just want to be part of the environment. So when this all started, basically, I can assure people that we can photograph a business portrait outside, as you can see from this first slide. And I'm at least 6 and sometimes 10 or 12 and sometimes 15 feet away, depending on what we need in the background. I photographed someone last week. He wanted the building. We wanted like the geometric shape of our building as his background. So the way we set it up was the light was right near him, but I was way out in the parking lot, 15 feet away. And I was able to get a really nice background for him that would have been very different than just a studio shot anyway. And then as far as the backgrounds for Zoom, once I saw, meetings, that's where people were going to be spending a lot of time. And I didn't have the best setup at home for that, because I have a studio, but I wasn't going to the studio. So I was home, and I didn't really want the back of the room and all the, stuff in the back and having to clean it up every time and stage it. So I didn't even bother with that. I just somehow found, I don't remember where I even saw that you could change the background, but you could put your own in there. And I decided, since I had enough of my own travel photos, I could be anywhere. And it was fun to be in a meeting from Costa Rica or from the Galapagos or from even Homedale Park, which is the background today. So that's kind of where that started. And then I've been doing resumes, which I've done for clients for almost 20 years, actually. But because people are home now and may or may not be going back to the job that they had, there's been a greater need for resumes and a greater need to update LinkedIn profiles. And the time to do it is now. So I was able to offer some peripheral services in addition to photography to my business clients.
That's great. So do you have experience in the writing and all that as well?
I do. I mean, I was a technical project manager for years. I worked in the .com startup days of the late 90s. So I did QA and I did web copy. So I've written a lot. I always have. And it seemed like a good opportunity, over the years, offering this service, which I didn't really promote heavily. It was mostly word of mouth. And then when it started to grow a lot more, it seemed like a better idea to promote it. So I've had clients that want the whole package. They want a new headshot. They want a LinkedIn profile. They want a little bit of a blurb for their website. They want some marketing materials updated. So I try to find things that are, specific to my business that I can offer as well. And I would suggest anybody offering, something that they can't really do right now, think of other things that are similar that you can help people with, as long as everybody's got time at home. We all always say we never have enough time to do all the things we want to do. And if you don't know how to do it, just find someone that can and help you out.
That's a great idea, taking the professional shots, because I didn't realize you did the other stuff as well, which is a great package. How do you do your advertising?
It's worth, for the resumes, like I said, it's mostly word of mouth, although I have been promoting it. I have a mailing list. I use MailChimp. I promote to different groups online. I talk to people, I tell them, and I'll get a lot of referrals from that. So for those that are just, concerned about, like I said, they want to go in a completely different direction. I had someone ask about, have I ever written a resume for a commercial airline pilot before who wants to transition out of it? he doesn't want to be in the industry anymore. He's kind of burned out or whatever. And I hadn't done that, but I can do it. I've written resumes for the military people who have put in their 20 years, their 30 years. Now they want to transition into something else. So it's really all about how you want to position yourself. Take your accomplishments and your results, and I can help you create something for a new opportunity.
That's really neat. I like that. You're very creative.
Oh, thank you. I try. Yeah, I have studio rent to pay. So, the pressure to continue to pay rent makes you really kind of reach for ideas that you might not have thought of before.
Right. So where do you come up with a lot of your ideas?
Well, basically, if I'm online and I'm seeing people talk about certain things, what they need or issues that they're having, just in general conversation, I try to think, is there something I can do to help? Is there a skill I have that maybe could work with them? Work with what they're trying to accomplish. Just talking to people, and you don't want to be paralyzed by fear at this time. Just be sitting home and you're like, what am I going to do? Am I going to have a job to go back to? What if I don't? I'm kind of the person that likes to take action before it's absolutely necessary. So I like to be prepared, and I like to help other people be prepared as well, so it's not so scary. People have lost their jobs. I just had a friend that said tomorrow is her last day at work this week, and now what? So
you have a resume to write.
Yeah.
I have a question about the screen here, because this guy looks nothing like the person behind the person.
That's how good I am. I can turn you from, you can be a cartoon character, and then you can become a CEO.
You are really good.
Yes, well, thank you. But this was the whole setup before the client arrived, because he was on his lunch. He was working, but his company actually said, we need to put you, we need to start promoting you, so you have your lunch hour to go get this done. Now, that's not a lot of time when you think about it. You have to travel to get to my studio or my building. So long before he got there, I set up everything outside with Kevin, my minion, and tested the lights, made sure we had everything that we needed. And then as soon as he walked in, I put him where Kevin was, and within less than 8 shots, we were done.
That's
so
great.
He went back to work, and he got everything he needed in the hour that he had.
That's great. So I take it you're not doing all the makeup and all that cool stuff.
We are not right now, but my makeup artist is able to do, some, either with a Zoom call or a tutorial to help people, if they're not sure what to do, if they have no clue whatsoever, she can help them with that.
Oh, that's great.
You can come camera ready. You can have, if you can do your own makeup. If you can't, and you don't want to, you want to wait, that's fine. We're still taking bookings for people who want to give it another month or so, but they don't, because everybody needs to get their hair done at this point. So
I don't know. You think? I can't see.
Yeah, I know. Well, I have long hair, so I can just put it back. But yeah, so people are waiting. It's been like 3 male headshots in the last week or 10 days. So I think women are holding off because, we feel like we really need our services to get camera ready.
Services, yes.
So.
Yeah. So do you so I know portraits and professional portraits is what I've seen you, that's when I first met you. But then on if following Instagram, you have a phenomenal collection of things that you've done, like your trip to Cuba, that wonderful steampunk person.
Oh yeah.
And takes fabulous pictures. So, is she a model or?
No, she's a 15-year-old kid, and she's just extremely creative. And I'd seen her mom post a picture of her, I guess it was a year or 2 ago, with the multicolored hair, and she just had a certain style about her. And I just said, would you mind, I'd like to photograph your kid. She looks amazing, and she could obviously style herself. And her mom was like, yeah, she'd love that. It builds confidence, and she's not really that confident, even though she loves her own thing. But, other kids are very judgmental. So, being creative and different is not a great thing always when you're a teenager, but I embrace that kind of thing. So I just said, show up at the studio, we'll see what we can do. And what kind of theme? We talked about it. I had done a steampunk shoot before. So she went to a thrift shop and got all this cool stuff. And, we went out to the Keensburg area that has all these murals, and did some shots there. I photographed her in the studio as well. So, for kids that feel a little uncomfortable, it's a good boost, to their self-confidence to look amazing in a picture.
What are some of the other, feel free, anybody who has a question, to go ahead and sit it in the chat too. So you don't just listen to me and Alyse the whole time. But what are some of the, I forgot where I was going with this question. I completely forgot.
Should I go back to the Minion?
Go back to the Minion. No, he's not inspiring me anymore.
Oh,
So what are some of the creative processes you go through to, you know, when you came up with your idea for the backdrop for Zoom? I mean, you're selling some, are you selling some of your photos for those backdrops, or what?
oh yeah, yeah. And there was a contest I was running every day for a while. You know, if you could guess where it was, then you win the backdrop. So I got a lot of responses to that. So I don't know. I just want, you know, I just like having something a little more unique. So the creativity just kind of comes out of, you know, what can be done differently? You know, what are people thinking about? What am I thinking about? If it's a dreary, awful day, I try to post something from a colorful, you know, uplifting kind of shoot that just makes people feel like, yeah, the sun will come out tomorrow and we'll do something fun. So just try to think ahead.
And you're, so these, you showed the setup for the one outside shot. Do you have, I know we didn't talk about having any slides. Do you have any you can put up of some of the cool stuff you've done, or did you not have that ready?
I didn't put them in here. I did
Okay.
well, this is the first one is outdoors. I mean,
Yes.
if you look at the one on the left, it looks like I mean, it's amazing, the colors and
Yeah.
you know, the shallow depth of field. It could literally be anywhere, and you see from the right, it's kind of an ugly scene. You wouldn't really think that would be anything.
Right.
It's just the front of the over the underhang or overhang of the building. But given the depth of field and the camera angle and the lighting, you know, it's got some beautiful color in there, and her eyes just really pop with that. And, you know, she's a young professional, a real estate investor, and she's only 24.
Wow.
So, you know, I wanted her to look like, you know, serious professional, not a kid, not inexperienced. And,
right.
But outside, we wanted outside because real estate, although that doesn't specifically say real estate, you know, it's not just some studio picture. It's
right.
outside.
Exactly. Well, what I love is she's also, we can see by the slide you shot that she's actually appropriately dressed for the pandemic, where she's spiffed up the top and left the jeans and the flip-flops on the bottom. So
yeah, right. Well, that's a headshot. So, I mean, I'm wearing like black sweats right now too. So
I was gonna say, so she's perfect. The whole one even shows the perfect pandemic way to work. You know, I like it. Yeah.
I once had a high-level executive come in for a headshot, and he wore the suit and tie jacket and shorts, cargo shorts, with sandals. So I do have a behind-the-scenes picture of that. I didn't put it in here, but that was pretty funny too.
That's really funny. So, what else can you tell us? Because I feel like I'm not asking the right direction questions for you.
Well, is there anything anybody has a question about? Like, I don't know, anything photography related, resume related, coming up with, you know, ideas to offer your clients?
Diane, hold on, let me unmute you. Hang on.
Okay.
Go ahead, Diane.
Hi, I'm Diane, and I had just launched my website 6 months ago, and I've been struggling with it. And I know my photography shots are pretty bad, but you know, I can't afford a photographer right now. So can you lend like any advice on how I can kind of spruce up because I'm actually just using my iPhone. I did purchase a ring light to kind of help with the lighting, and I'm still struggling with that.
Well, right. Lighting is really critical. I would say to do the best you can, make sure that whatever background you have is uncluttered. Don't stand against the wall because you'll end up with shadows, most likely. Try to find like an uncluttered area, even step outside. If there's something in the background, if it's far enough,
I sell jewelry, so I'm
okay.
actually, believe it or not, I'm filming it, shooting it on like a marble floor.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, but it's still the shots just don't really capture, you know, the full brilliance of the jewelry. It's like statement jewelry. So.
I actually did photograph jewelry at a jewelry store once, and actually another client had jewelry. It does take a little bit of effort because the sparkle, you want to capture the three-dimensionality of it. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, even if there are some tips to doing it, you might be limited given your lighting situation. I would say put them in a white, you can build this, and you probably see it on YouTube, you can build like a white cube that you put the jewelry into, and then your lighting will create, you know, the white bright light that best reflects the jewelry. And, you know, the jewelry itself is now going to be in like a nice clean environment. So those are really inexpensive. I've seen them on Amazon. It's meant for jewelry photography. So I don't know what it's actually called to look it up. Jewelry photography. If you Google that, you'll find something. But I would go with that as opposed to just putting it on a floor or even on your own table. You know, a minimum investment would make it look really good.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I know for like my business, we do a lot of, we take a lot of pictures of smaller things, different items that we sell. And we actually built like it's like a 3-sided box. Essentially, it sits on top of like a office desk, and it's inside of a room. We use a ring light too. And I don't use any fancy cameras either. I think my social media girl has like an iPhone 11 or whatever, not the most recent one, but the one behind that. And I know she uses like a little bit. I know she changes like the aperture or the light. She plays a little bit with it, but I know that she just keeps the ring light high. But the black, we're able to like change the bottom. So sometimes we put wood under it. Sometimes we do put like a piece of tile, like a piece of marble or a piece of like granite tile. And the black, like, you can put whatever bottom underneath setting works best, whether it's like a white or whether it's like a black or a brown, or you can kind of mix colors in, and then the black kind of cuts down on extra light coming into the picture, especially when you build the walls high. So my walls are like 3 feet high on all sides, and she takes the picture from underneath the light. So I know she has that ring light looking over her head, shining down onto the product. And that creates really, really nice pictures, and really inexpensively, because we were going to get a DSLR camera, but those are really expensive. So I was like, yeah, try to make it work.
So she has the ring light above her then, and then she's taking it from underneath the ring light, you're saying?
Yeah, she's essentially taking it at the level of the desk or just slightly above, looking down, and the ring light's directly behind her. So that way her head's not in the line of the light. So it's casting a shadow, but it's coming on top of her rather than at an angle. Because we noticed that at an angle, you'll catch a glare.
Okay.
Anything else? I just thought of a question for Alyse. Alyse, on your piece that you put on your emails and a lot of things I've seen you've done, you call it "What's your personal brand?" What do you mean by a personal brand? What are you talking about, and what are you suggesting, and what are you helping people figure out what their brand is?
Well, when I talk to a client, if they want personal branding images, it's more than just a headshot. It's usually showing them either with a product or in a situation where their service would be kind of either understood or would lead into people, wanting to know more about what it is they're doing. I had a client that creates beautiful headscarves. So when she came in for her headshot session, we wanted to do a little bit more than that. So I had her, do a regular business portrait, but then she did some nice twists with her headscarf, and we put her in front of a beautiful multicolor, unique original painting from another client to show that she understands color, to give her the whole brand of colorful headscarves a little bit more, relationship to what she did, instead of just smiling into the camera wearing her nice outfit. I wanted to show that she was colorful, that she was creative, that she, would come up with this beautiful, look to herself. It matched the colors. The painting happened to match the colors of her personal brand, which, is throughout her website, her marketing materials, her press releases, her product materials. So when people tell me what they do, we can come up with different sets, different setups. So for this client here, who's basically, into real estate, we did a few more images, but I would have gone with her on location if she'd had the time to a couple of different areas to show, either commercial real estate, residential real estate, just different things that would associate her with what she did. That's kind of what personal branding is. It's more than just a close-up with a smile. It kind of gets you into the environment of what it is that you do, and just gives a little context to it.
Do you usually come up with those ideas, or does the client, or do you work together? Is there a lot of conversation prior to?
There is a consultation, and if they're not sure, then we just talk it through. I had another client that came in with a whole program that her business coach had written about things that they wanted, because she was into wellness and healthy cooking. So we had spec'd out a whole shoot in and around her kitchen. She has apparently a beautiful kitchen, like a chef's quality kitchen. So we would have done some images. We're preparing food. She was preparing the food, smiling, laughing, looking at ingredients, maybe shopping for these ingredients. Just different indications of, you know, the health and wellness brand that she's promoting. So it is collaborative.
And what do you find that, well, one of the other things I know you do is you do classes and networking at the same time, which again, like us, you've had to think of other ways to do that, but tell us a little bit about that.
Well, classes I offer, and I have offered it for a long time, either private or small group classes to learn how to use your DSLR. If people are getting them, they're not really super expensive anymore. They're affordable, and it depends on what you want to do with it. But when people get them and they say, you know, I want to take great vacation travel pictures, or I want to photograph my kids at their sports events, I don't want them to just like have a camera that they've set on automatic, because then you might as well just use your phone. If you want effects, if you want you want to learn angles, you want to learn color, you want to learn white balance. I don't get into it to the point where, you know, you don't understand what I'm saying, but it gives you a good start to take the camera and go do something for what it's designed for, creativity. You need to take it off automatic and learn how to use the settings to create really the vision that you had when you bought it.
What is DSLR?
Digital single lens reflex. It just means there's a mirror in the camera that snaps up when you press the shutter. Although now there's a lot of mirrorless cameras that are smaller and lighter, and those are more expensive, but same effect, basically.
Okay. I'm if I remember to use my phone, I take a picture. If I remember, I'm horrible at remembering to take pictures.
Oh, okay. Well, I take a lot of them, and I've taken them with my phone if I'm somewhere, you know, that's what it's for. But it has its limitations.
Chris has a question.
Yes.
Nope.
Oh, he's muted.
He is. Spacebar. There you go.
I'm a good one to mute, but so for those who don't know, I've told anyone who's within earshot of me when Alyse and I see each other, but Alyse did my sister's wedding at the Molly Pitcher, you know, a few years ago, and that's how I met her. And she and my sister, I still think, keep in touch from time to time. Yeah. And so Alyse, I do know what a DSLR is. I got into it a while ago. And I just kind of self-taught myself, you know, bought a camera and bought some books, and with online resources and everything, you kind of get to understand at least the concepts. I think, like, you know, I agree with you. They're a lot less expensive than they were at one time. And I think it gives amateurs a chance to experiment without, you know, the old days of 35 millimeter where you needed a dark room, or you needed you took 36 shots at a time and you didn't know what you were getting until you developed it. You know, now you can see an hour later what you got. But I've stopped using it, you know, when I go away. I've stopped because the camera phones have gotten so damn good, and so many different gadgets and effects with them. Convinced me that I still need to take my DSLR with me and carry that big thing around.
Well, it depends on, again, what you want to use it for. Like the background of my picture right now, that's Homedale Park, and I took it with my cell phone. Yeah. So it, you know, basic things that you always want to know anyway, no matter what kind of camera you have, is, you know, framing the shot, getting the right angles, getting the right lighting. So that's something that, you know, is separate from the camera. You want to know those things to get the best shot. But with a DSLR, there's just you know, the lens that's in a cell phone. I mean, it's like a fixed wider angle lens, which is not always the most flattering for people, even when you try to do your selfie like this. So for what I do, I have a multitude of lenses, and the settings on the camera can really, you know, add so much to the actual experience. And it's synced to my lights, which, you know, you can probably do it now with the phone as well. There's no reason really to have it if you're not a professional, if you're not doing it for a specific reason. But I can't imagine, like, if, you know, if I don't photograph weddings anymore, but if I showed up even with the best of cell phones to photograph a client's wedding, they'd have a heart attack. So, you know, it depends why you need it. If you love photography and you want to take it to another level, at some point you will need to move up from that. But for convenience, to go and hike in the park and take pretty pictures, I mean, it's certainly perfectly well. Fine.
Yeah, I don't know. Just the last few years, I've just kind of gotten away with the improvement of the cameras and the phones. And, probably having a little kid with me and toting more stuff than I'm used to around doesn't help.
Yeah.
But I just don't use it as much, and I miss it, but. Yeah.
Well, you got nothing else to do now, Chris. You could go out and take a ton of pictures now. Go
That's what they
practice
say. That's what they
Yeah,
say.
you have a
It just
captive
doesn't-
audience.
It doesn't seem to happen.
I know.
Timing. You got the kids there. They're
All this free time we were supposed to have during Corona.
Not
well, it's
having
harder if you have little kids. You probably just don't have the free time, no matter what. Work is a good time to get away.
Yeah, Chris has learned to become a teacher this COVID pandemic.
Yeah, everybody
as well.
did, right? And
Yeah.
you see what they go through.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's hard.
I'm glad mine are old enough I don't have to do the teaching. So go back to, so you taking the opportunity to teach your classes and to host like networking events. And how
Yes.
did that come about?
I just thought it would be a good way to introduce not just me and my studio to other people, but to introduce other people to each other. I mean, there really was no shortage really of networking events, as we all know. But
Because
this
I do
one,
such a good job, right?
well, I'm sorry.
It's because I do such a good job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I
You inspired me. You inspired me. But it's fun to have people come together, and we have we started with just having a speaker, but now it evolved into a panel so that it's interactive, and the 2 or 3 of us that are on the panel we're talking to the audience the entire time and asking and answering questions. We want them to learn something as opposed to just listening, because you kind of fade out sometimes after a while. But we have really good networking, good food. We do a prize drawing for a local charity. So we have a lot of great prizes, and then the proceeds go to to a charity in the area that helps local people. But it's been really good, and I think it's topics that they're business oriented. So they're more about for people running a small business that run into the same problems either in the beginning of their career with it, or they've been at it for a while and there's something they can't overcome. So that's what the panel is supposed to help with. Like, we're all at different stages, and so is the audience. And this way they can get an idea of, what does it look like to am I making money? I don't know. I can't tell. I don't have an accountant. I don't know what to do. I'm keeping a spreadsheet. It's not helping. Different things that small businesses need to know to just keep going.
Are you doing any of them now?
At the moment, no. We had one scheduled for April that had to be canceled, but we were thinking of doing one with Zoom, but a lot of people really like to be together, and we decided it'd be better to wait, because there has been a lot of Zoom meetings now. Everything's online, and people like to eat too. I mean, my event planner is Sherilyn Preslonsky, and her husband's a professional chef, so the food is always really, really good at the events. So I know people look forward to that, and they love the prizes, and it's just it's more of an experience to be there in person. So we're just gonna wait.
I like that idea, because I know we're doing Zoom all the time. And what's really funny now is I don't like to just call someone on the phone anymore. Like, I've gone to the point where I'll get on the phone, I'll call, like Jill and I will be working during the day, and I'm like, I have a question for you. You got time to Zoom? Because I just have to see her face, because I'm so used to talking to her all day. And, so I've gotten, though we're on Zoom all the time, I'm becoming more dependent on it as well for contact. For work.
I think it's a great tool, and I think it really will help, because when we can go back to meeting in person, I still think there should be a nice balance, because it does take time driving somewhere. It takes a chunk of the day that people may not be able to do, and I think offering 2 versions, like if you do something twice a month, one on Zoom and one in person, I really feel that would be beneficial. More people can come, because it's easier to just get on a Zoom call for an hour or so than to have to drive somewhere, get ready, get dressed, then drive all the way back, and then go on and do something else.
Right. So you just got to make sure your food is outstanding for when you call people in person.
Absolutely. Food is a big draw. What can you say, right? It's a big draw.
Okay. So,
and wine. We have wine.
Yeah. Did everybody bring their cocktails today? I finally remembered mine. I have
coffee. That's my cocktail.
My cocktail. Lisa has hers. We're good. So can anybody else have a question for Alyse? If somebody wanted to find you or get in contact with you, how would they do that?
Well, it's pretty easy. I'm on, pretty much every platform: LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. My website, you can Google me. I usually come up first, because 3 chicks is the number, so 3 comes up first.
Okay.
So
Cool.
for the chamber, of course,
Yes.
anybody could always ask you, or just look on the chamber website. And I think that's pretty
What's
much.
what's your name you use on your social media? Is it all the same?
It's 3 Chicks That Click, or like it's for Instagram, it's Instagram dot whatever / 3 Chicks. Sometimes it's 3 Chicks That Click if you don't get the right one. You don't want to get something weird, if you type in 3 Chicks, sometimes you could get something really weird.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I've been
it's
lucky though. That hasn't happened to me when I've been looking for you. I just put it in the chat if everybody wanted to look at it, and
okay.
I could pull up the link to your website as well. So any, I know we're not quite, we're.
Diane is waving, I think.
Oh, Diane has a question. Hold on.
But she's muted.
Yep.
Yeah, I
There you
just,
go.
okay. Yeah, what's the premise? Who are the 3 chicks? I'm curious.
Well, it's myself, my assistant, and my makeup artist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they don't do the networking though, so you only see them when you come for your session.
Gotcha. Okay.
She works them so hard she doesn't let them out in public.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Thank you.
So you do still do big events, yes?
I do corporate events. I don't do weddings anymore, but I still have done family events for my corporate clients. So I've done, anniversary parties, graduation parties. I've done communions, bar mitzvahs, that kind of thing. So I don't have.
I've seen you at charity fundraisers.
I've done those. If it's a corporate client, yeah, we've done like specific events every year for the YMCA. We've done others for different groups. So yeah, we do that as well, like personal big events or for clients that we already know. I don't promote it, so they will just let us know, we're having an anniversary party for my parents, can you shoot that? So that kind of thing.
How often would you recommend redoing your headshot?
Well, for women, we tend to change a lot. Different, we change our hair, we change our makeup, we change our clothing styles. And at a certain age, and this is for men as well, at a certain age, what I say is the tipping point. Like if you let it go more than 5 years, when you're in your 40s, 5 more years, it makes a very big difference in how you look. If you're 25 to 30, you can get away with a 5-year headshot. It's fine. But most people find, and I've noticed this with other clients, the last headshot they had was from 20-something years ago if they're in their 40s and 50s because they felt that's when they look their best. And maybe they did, but they could still look amazing now with flattering lighting and angles and professional hair and makeup, and you'll look like you. And it's a better experience for clients who don't know you when they meet you. If they see your picture and they think, all right, this person's not entirely truthful or upfront about how they look, so I don't know, can I feel like I can trust them with business? It's best to just look like yourself, only great and wonderful. And it doesn't matter what age you are. So I would say for a certain age group, I would go with a new headshot at least every 2 years. I mean, it keeps your marketing material fresh. It makes it look like you're progressing with what you're doing. Your business is growing. It just makes you look better. You don't want a dated, stale headshot.
How much should you use a photograph of yourself in your marketing?
I would say a lot, because if you're the face of your business, if you're offering a service, you're not selling stuff. If you're selling jewelry, it doesn't matter maybe as much, but if you're selling your service, you're a business coach, you're financial advisor, you're meeting people all the time. So I would say that, you want to leverage it throughout everything, all the platforms, all your marketing material, press releases. Always have something ready for a press release because you just never know when you might get asked for one. And I've had panicked last minute calls. Can I come today? I have to have this by Friday.
What do you find that your clients come back and tell you they found to be most successful or the best use of what they've done with something that you've taken for them?
Well, they feel, that it takes them to the next level, the more professional level. Because it's clear what's an amateur headshot, what's done with a cell phone, and not that a cell phone can't take a good picture, but people tend to take pictures and they'll crop out. Like if I was on vacation and I was tan and happy and having fun, they'll crop out whoever was with them and they'll use that. It's obvious that it's not a business portrait. And if you really want people to invest in you, in your business, you have to invest in yourself and show that you're worth it. You've got to put the best business persona out there first, not just the cell phone.
Not the cell phone shot.
Yeah.
Great. Do you ever go to a place of business and do a whole day's worth for one company?
Yeah, we've done that. It's pretty much, we've set that up and make it easy for them. Same backdrop, same pose. They give us a schedule, who's coming when. The makeup artist comes with us, my assistant comes with us, and we make it really quick and easy, and everybody goes right back to work as the next person's coming in. So no one has to leave. Doesn't take a lot of time. It does for us. We're there for the day, but that's fine. Each person Takes maybe 20 minutes out of their day, 15 maybe, and they go right back to work.
Cool.
And then you have consistency, because if you ask your employees, you know, give us a headshot for the website, you're going to get 100 different headshot styles, and it's going to look like a big mess. You want a cohesive look, a team look.
I like that, the team look, because it's about the selling of the individual, but it's also about the branding and the team looking.
Yeah, exactly.
Looking cohesive, not the same, but cohesive.
Right. I mean, everyone's a little individual, but at least
Right.
you're all got the same, it's the same ratio with a headshot. Like you don't have like somebody who took their picture from far away, somebody up close. It's all the same backdrop. It's the same lighting. So it's the same style, but you can dress however you want and still be yourself. But you are part of a team if you're doing it for your company.
Right. I think I've asked all the questions I can think of, but does anybody else have anything for Alyse?
Excellent questions, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're
Oh,
very
go ahead,
good at this,
Paul.
man.
Thanks. Go ahead, Paul.
Alyse, how do you handle like recently we've had a lot of requests for photos where people are doing, like in our business, they're going through say they're getting tested for the COVID-19 and there's a line of people and you take a shot of your employees that are doing the service, but there's other people in the background. You have to get releases for everybody. Am I correct? How do you handle that if you're shooting in a public place and you're trying to make sure you're covered for what you're doing?
If you're in a public place, you can be photographed. I mean, you can be. However, what the line, the differentiation is, if you're going to be using those images to sell a product or service, if they're for sales and advertising, then you would need a release. If you're just taking pictures and somebody happens to be in it, you're putting it on your website, you know, there's nothing to prevent, you know, the person from having been there in the first place. You could always ask people to move, which I've done.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a public place, somebody, you know, is standing at the edge of your shot, they're very friendly enough when you're polite, ask them if they could just please take a few steps out of frame. If you can't, and you know, if they're identifiable and you're going to use the image for sales, then you have an issue. If they're not identifiable, if it's the back of their head or an arm, you know, there's really nothing to request for a photo, you know, a press release for that, a photo release for that.
Okay.
Just be aware of your backgrounds everywhere, because a lot of times you'll be taking pictures, you're not aware that there's a telephone pole like sticking out of the back of someone's head. It looks like they've been impaled, or there's a garbage can right over there, or, you know, a beat up car. You know, always when you're taking pictures outside, especially, or even inside, always be aware of what's around the person. You're focused so much on their face that you forget to see what's around them.
I appreciate it.
Sure.
I did think of another question. How much of your work is with the camera, and then how much of your work is with the software afterwards?
That's a good question too. Editing is definitely important. Digital, I don't call it digital plastic surgery because I don't do that to anybody. I don't think you should look completely plastic or different. So my makeup artist is there in the first place to make sure that your skin is prepped to look good. I enhance, I very lightly retouch. I take out blemishes, things that aren't supposed to be there, that might not be there next week. If people have a specific request, like I don't like the scar over here, can you remove it? Then I will, but otherwise I don't. Your face is your face. I do very light retouching. I do color balancing, I do cropping, I do a little exposure compensation. You will basically look the same, only just better with editing. And every supermodel on every magazine cover is heavily edited, and they are perfect, practically. They're 20-year-old perfect people, and they still have to have some editing afterwards. I mean, they really aren't perfect, but
They're human, they're not perfect.
They're not perfect, but they're close to it. But everyone does need some editing afterwards, and the trick is to do it with a light hand so that it doesn't look like they're fake. You never want fake. Every skin has texture. You never want the smooth plastic doll look, no matter what anybody tells me. Take off all my wrinkles. No, you need some wrinkles and you need some shadow under your eyes. You have to have contour. Your face has to look three-dimensional. It can't be a flat Barbie doll face. So yeah, there is editing afterwards, but it's not to change your look. It's just to, you know, clean it up a little bit, little enhancement.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So if nobody else has any questions, I will take a shameless plug. Thank you, Alyse, very much.
Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure to see your smiles and your photographs. And actually, I sneaked, and on my other screen, I have your website up, and photos that are flashing across the homepage are just beautiful. So,
Oh, thank you.
so if you guys
Appreciate
want to
that.
look at something nice, please go ahead and do that. On Monday, we meet back at 11:30 for anyone who's interested, and going back to teaching your kids at school. Karen Jeffrey from Voyagers Community School is going to be helping out with some tips, because we all thought by now we'd be going back, but we're not. So give you some more tips on how to keep moving with that education. And next Thursday, Lisa Vitale from Barter Pays will be with us. Lisa, unmute yourself real quick and just say, what is that cute little title you called it on my email? I don't remember.
Hi, everybody. Next week, I'll be presenting, I think it's the 5 S's, swirl, sip, and sell, how to market your business and drink wine like a pro. So we all want to learn a new skill during Corona, right?
Yeah.
So it'll be a fun one.
Great, great. So with that, we'll all make sure we have our drinks next week.
For sure.
For sure. So, and if you guys think of anything, I mean, you guys have been on a lot of our calls. So if there's anything you can think of that you want to hear about, let Jill and I know. We'll try to find an expert for everybody to come and speak with us. And we really appreciate you joining us during this and sharing your smiling faces with us. So thank you very much. Alyse, thank you, and continue doing great work with your distanced photos.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate it. It's nice to see everybody.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.